What's the best case of instant karma you've witnessed? A person tried to shove past me in the hallway. Immediately after, a door opened up into the hallway and slammed him in the face. I don't care how long ago this was. I would still be there laughing. A lifted pickup truck with one of those train horns was driving aggressively through morning work traffic and honking at people who got in his way. He did it to an unmarked sheriff, or trooper, some kind of law enforcement, and promptly got his ass pulled over. Pedestrian crossing the street. Everyone stops for him except one guy in the last lane blasts his horn and blows through the intersection, nearly running the pedestrian over. There was an unmarked police car right behind him that immediately pulled him over. Was working at a trampoline park which had two different dodgeball areas. One for kids 12 and under. Another for 13 and up. Annoying little sheet of a kid kept trying to sneak into the 13 and up game. Running around. Breaking rules. And basically being a pain. We couldn't really do much about it. Eventually I just let him sneak on, and not a moment later he got smacked beautifully in the face with a rubber ball. Actually sent him flying back a couple feet. He wasn't so keen to play after that. This asshole cut into my lane, forcing me to brake hard the other week. I honked and he turned around in his car, while still driving, to flip me off. He didn't see the car in front of him stopping at a red light and crashed into the car in front of him. I had a lot of fun telling the police what had happened. A few years back, I was traveling on the interstate to meet some friends who attended a different college than I did for a weekend. On the way there, I'm in the right-hand lane, minding my own business, when a car tries to cut me off. No big deal, right? Except she ended up clipping my bumper and running me off the road, with her driving speeds of 80-85 miles per hour. Other driver keeps on going along her merry way, while I'm on the shoulder attempting to contact the local police to report an accident. 5 minutes later, a state trooper pulls up behind me and asks what happened. I explain the situation, describe the other vehicle, including a partial license plate number, and he asked if my car was still drivable. After confirming that it was, he said, "Just follow me up to this next exit. I got a call about a driver who is out of gas and needs assistance." We pull up to the next exit just shy of a gas station. Sure enough, it was the girl who was the other party in my hit and run. She tried to deny anything occurred, until the trooper looked at my front bumper damage and her back end damage. Assessed the paint colors matched, etc. Bonus is that her plate had the partial information I had gathered as she sped away. Turns out, girl has no insurance and no license. Gets hauled off to jail on a hit and run. All because she couldn't slow her ass down and be a decent driver. One time I smiled at someone walking by. Then I saw them smile at somebody, who then smiled at somebody else. It was like a happy karma train. During my lunch break at work a few years ago, I ran over to this convenience store that sold a few deli items and also had a lunch of the day special. That day it was spaghetti. I walked into the store and headed to the back to the coolers to grab a drink, and I start walking over to the line that was formed to grab lunch. This older woman, who was talking to a woman not even close to the line, saw me walking and literally strong-armed me to get in front of me. She full-on shoulder checked me. The cashier saw it, looked at me, and I just shook my head as if to not call her out on it. She gets 2 orders of spaghetti. They come in a styrofoam compartment tray. She walked towards the door and someone comes in that she knows, so she's saying hi. I pay for my food and I'm out the door. As I'm walking to my truck, I hear a loud ooh-off. I turn around and this woman is planked on the ground with spaghetti and meat sauce all over her white shirt. I just walked into a crowded bar with my friend back when we were in our early 20s. Make our way around the entrance handrails and bam, this dude smashes his shoulder into mine, knocking me back. Thinking it was just an accident caused by a crowded bar, I start to recover and this dude throws his shoulder into me again. Before I can even begin to react to the second more aggressive hit, This monstrosity of a bouncer watching the whole things go down. Picks the guy up and literally throws him out the exit doors. It all happened in a matter of 5 seconds. I don't think any other person in that bar, nor my friend, even saw it go down. A dirtbag snatched an elderly lady's purse and got run over by a befuddled 80-year-old man while fleeing. Not hit. Run over by a Crown Victoria. Sheet was gnarly. Was walking down the street and a Porsche gunned it to make a left turn in front of me at the entrance of a gas station. He missed hitting me by about a foot. He cut it too close and hit the curb and tore his front bumper off. Dude I worked with, pizza delivery, hit my bumper and scratched in the parking lot. A customer called him out on it. He denied it and went on his delivery. On that delivery he was T-boned and his car was totaled. Had he come into the store to tell me and apologize, I would have forgiven it. Instead he had to pay $500 for a new bumper paint job and lost his car. In high school had a kid punch me for like no reason. I would have punched him back but the principal and the resource officer had literally just walked around the corner and saw it. They walk up and ask the other kids, "Did the lightning count one provoke Bob here?" Kids shook their heads. "Did the lightning count one strike Bob before just now?" Kids shook their heads. Resource officer cuffed Bob and took him to the office. He was a multiple offender and this was the last straw. He was expelled and we never saw him again. I got punched in the face by my cousin. I was 14 at the time and he was 8. He yelled "I am invincible" and held his fists up to assert dominance. And then he turned 180 into a wooden support post in our basement. He sat down covering his face and starting crying and I was trying to maintain a concerned and worried look but it was just funny as hell. Playing a beer league slow pitch softball game once. The backstop of this field was a big chain link fence half dome that extended out over home plate. The batter was mouthing off about how he was gonna hit middle on purpose, hit the ball back at our pitcher trying to injure him, because he was mad that our team was steamrolling his. He proceeds to pop the first pitch straight up. The ball hits a metal pole on that half dome, comes straight back down and cracks him in the top on his head. Hard. He falls to the ground. Pops back up. Walked back to the dugout. Puts all his stuff away and left for the parking lot. We think he went and cried in his car. Edit, a word. A week ago my husband was on a work trip and he got a free upgrade to first class. He got on the plane and sat down in 3A. A few minutes later a woman boards and tells him in a richy tone, "Excuse me. You're in my seat." He takes out his ticket and shows it to her politely. She also has a ticket for 3A. She insists he needs to move because she paid for that seat and it's hers. A flight attendant gets involved and my husband says he'll move. He was very polite. So the flight attendant has him stand aside and says hopefully there will be another first class seat. They're about to close up the plane and the flight attendant welcomes them on their flight to Charlotte. And the women in 3A goes, "Oh shit. She got on the wrong flight. Idiot." My husband felt very smug watching her leave and enjoyed his 3A seat. I was driving on the freeway one day and needed to get over. I checked to make sure it was clear. Signaled and changed lanes. I didn't realize there was an Escalade coming up behind at over 100 miles per hour in that lane. He was going so fast that the lane looked clear when I checked 1 second ago. The Escalade decided to teach me a lesson by acting like it wasn't going to stop and plow into me. There were now cars on both sides of me so I couldn't swerve out of the way. So the Escalade screams up until last possible second and then hits the brakes hard so he matches my speed about a foot away from my bumper. While this is happening I'm freaking out and wobbling the car cause I think I'm going to get creamed. The cop that was one lane over and 2 cars back immediately flipped on his lights and pulled them over. That was quite a roller coaster ride of emotions for me. Driving in the slow lane. Guy rushes up to my bumper and starts tailgating me. Honked his horn and flashed his lights. When I didn't move he went around me. Once he passed my car. So did a state trooper with his lights on. Another time. When driving to work. Car starts tailgating me. But doing the speed up slow down thing. I look in my rearview mirror and see a girl in the passenger seat yell at him. The car speeds up to my bumper one more time. I look in my rearview getting ready to flip him off. Then I see the girl absolutely edge slap the guy driving. He backed off and stopped tailgating me. A story I learned about recently. When I was still in architecture school, a professor gave his class an exercise. One student came up with a project with a lot of ramps for disabled people. The professor started laughing and asked her to remove them because no one will use them. A month after or so, he lost his leg. My older sister and I didn't get along well growing up. One day we were both on a city bus on our way home. As we approached our stop, I got up and moved toward the door. As it opened, my sister aggressively shoved past me to get off first. The second she stepped off, she was nailed full on by seagull poop. This was over 50 years ago and it still makes me smile. I was stuck in the left lane passing 5 semi-trucks. One car was riding my tail the entire time, honking, flipping me off, flashing their high beams, doing everything in their power to make me move. As soon as I move, the other car zooms right past, flipping me off. 3 miles later the car was pulled over. Cyclist flipped me off because I wasn't sharing the road enough, despite the cycling lane to his right, and in doing so, rides into a pothole and bent his front wheel. Overheard an admin at work boasting that she could easily skew the numbers on the tills to make it appear as though so and so's the till was short. Now, I'm not a snitch, but I'm also not gonna let some kid get thrown under the bus cause of stomach. The next day, I went to my boss to report it. But as I walk in, I see the admin nearly in tears, claiming the boss stabbed her in the back. I don't know what she got booted for, but everyone agrees she deserved it. Admin wasn't fired, just moved to a shitty department where she's visibly stressed and drowning in the workload. A better punishment, I think. So it's winter and everything is covered in snow. I'm going home from a friend's place and I see my shoelaces untied. I grab a nearby tree so I can maintain my balance while I put the shoelace inside my shoe, and immediately after grabbing a tree a sheet ton of snow falls on my head. A woman that was walking behind me starts laughing at me, and right after she walks by me she slipped on the ice and fell down. I had a good laugh of revenge. In high school, big dick dude spanks a girl's ass and run with girl in hot pursuit. Friend of girl blocks doorway so dude jumps out a window. Unfortunately, dude underestimates his height and plunks his head into top frame of the window. Hard enough that dude crumples into the ground, in serious pain and unable to stand or see for a few minutes. Dude's glasses are broken too. Even dude's friends who he was trying to impress in the first place are now laughing at him. Dude learned his lesson. I was big dick dude. I was driving from Chicago to Wisconsin one weekend. As soon as I got on the highway, a car to my left decides he needs my lane this instant and pushes me out of my lane onto the shoulder. He continues to zoom around and almost hit another 10 cars or so just to get right back where he started. It was rush hour. We're all slowly going along the highway when I hear this boom. A couple of other cars and I stop, not to ask if he needs help but to wait for the cop that was a couple miles back that saw the whole thing. We each gave our testimonies and the asshole was taken away in the cop car for reckless driving and some other charges. Someone once passed me illegally on a 2-lane road even though I was going over the speed limit as it is. He didn't just pass me. He passed several cars during his risky overtake, but one of the cars ahead me was an unmarked cop. Lit him up immediately. Felt so good. I've posted this one before but the memory always makes me laugh. I was walking to the store with a friend when we were 13. We heard someone yelling at us and turned around to see some kid about 50 feet away. He was yelling and calling us FS and every other homophobic word you know at that age. As we started to walk over to confront him, he did a 180 and started running while turning. Well, he spun around and ran face first into a tree and hit it hard enough that the kid fell to the ground from the impact. He laid there for a few seconds because he was dazed. We couldn't stop laughing and hopefully that was enough embarrassment for him to learn a lesson. You made it to the end. You are ducking amazing. If you like my videos, support the channel by smashing the like and subscribe button. Thank you.